Thank you for joining. This is Cheap Shot News. I am Zach. This is the show where I go over all the interesting news topics from the world of television and movies. I shouldn't say just interesting. It's mostly just stuff that I'm interested in specifically, and then I give my opinions on those topics to you. So why not just jump right in? So, if you guys watched last week, you may have remembered how I said there's a World War II zombie movie produced by Bad Robot that's coming out, and that I was excited for because I'm an Abrams fan, because who isn't an Abrams fan? But overall, you might be getting sick of the new era of monster movies, but I haven't got sick of those monster movies yet. Well, I may have spoke too soon, because recently, somebody, Fox, along with a production company called 21 Lap, came out with their movie that they're producing that they're calling World War Z with vampires. So that may have changed my mind. Now, I might be a little annoyed with this because you're literally comparing a movie that's already been a movie just with different creatures involved in it. So maybe you shouldn't compare a movie that will be based on a book to a different book that has a movie based on it. That seems confusing just in general. Now, we have very few details on this specific topic of interest that we're discussing right now, because, that's what we're discussing right now. So, that being said, I'm interested because, like I mentioned, 21 Lap Productions is participating in this movie. And if you're not familiar, you're probably not. What they're known for is they recently produced Arrival, which was one of my favorite movies of 2016. I think it made like number 3 or 4. And they did... Oh, lost my train of thought there. They did Stranger Things Season 1. They produced that. So, those are both really good shows. Stranger Things was one of my favorite shows, and then Arrival was one of my favorite movies of last year. The book's going to be based off a novel called The People's History of a Vampire Uprising, and they said it's kind of like World War Z with vampires because, like World War Z was the book to specify, it's going to be based over a long period of time and basically different people's outlooks on this event. So if you're not familiar with the book, the movie didn't really do that. So I'm wondering if this movie is planning on doing that. And it's not just vampires in the sense of mindless blood-sucking vampires. They're going to be vampires that are actually going to be kind of integrated in society, and there's a vampire uprising, and then there's ultimately conflict involved in that. So it's a little more of a thinker. But that being said, I may have just become burnt out on modern monster movies because of this. So, we're going to move on to kind of a monster-oriented show that I discussed as well, Stranger Things, speaking of Stranger Things. So, I don't know, Dan, if it's like True Blood. I've never seen True Blood. I'm assuming True Blood has more of a social structure, vampires. So, I don't know if this is going to be like that. Based on what I read, I was thinking of... I can't remember it. It was Ethan Hawke vampire movie from a few years back where actually all of society was turned into vampires, but there was a social structure and everything like that. They were basically normal people. They just subsided on blood instead of food. So anyways, moving on. Stranger Things Season 2, a lot of details came out this week, and potential spoilers if you have not seen Stranger Things Season 1. So, getting into that. So, recently received a lot of details on Season 2, which, as far as we know, from what we're told, picks up about a year after the events of Season 1. Now, you got to remember, Season 1 actually only took place in a span of a few days. So, I mean, if you're thinking it was multiple months, it was actually only about a week that it took in place. So, it's about a year after that, which... I will say Stranger Things Season 1 ended around Christmas. This is picking up around Halloween. And the cast, the boys are dressed up as Ghostbusters for Halloween because of course they are. But we knew that from seeing the trailer. A few major plot points here is Will is going to be seeing images from the Upside Down. I have a car going off outside. Yeah, that's not distracting at all, buddy. Thank you. Anyways, Will's going to be seeing images from the upside down. We don't know if they're real or not. So that's something that we've also seen in the trailers and something that I'll get into a little further. So he's clearly struggling with some like PTSD or whatever you want to call it from being in the upside down. Joyce, Will's mother, played by Winona Ryder, she is still trying to like cope with the events that are happening. And part of how she's dealing with that is she's now dating a guy named Bob, actually played by Sean Astin from Rudy in Lord of the Rings fame. Hopper, who was probably one of my favorite characters from season 1, loved him. He literally just punched everything that was in his way. It was spectacular. He's actually part of the team that's kind of covering up these events. Not to cover it up for any government reasons, but it's said that he's covering it up to try to protect the families that were involved, specifically Will, Joyce, and their family. Now, Mike and Nancy then are continuing to struggle. Mike and Nancy were the main boy, and his older sister are continuing to struggle with the loss of Barb and Eleven and the events that happened. Obviously, anyone that's watched season 1 to its extent, again, here spoilers, we know that there's a pretty good idea that L11 is going to be coming back. So, a little bit of a spoiler there. The likelihood of Barb coming back is next to zero. Even producers have said that. So everyone that wants justice for Barb, I'm sorry, you're not going to get justice for Barb. That being said, what the heck was with Barb? I mean, like I said, the show only took place over about a week of time, but literally even Nancy got over Barb in like 24 hours. She's just like, oh, Barb's gone, might be dead. Whatever. I got boys to deal with, normal girl stuff. That's what girls do, right? And then we're adding another sibling duo to the season 2. Sorry, saying 2 a lot. DeCray Montgomery, he's actually going to be the Red Ranger in the upcoming Power Rangers movie, so you'll recognize him from that if you're into Power Rangers. And then Sadie Sink, just another child actress who's going to be maybe potentially a love interest for one of the other boys. So that's what we have to look forward to. Still major otherworldly forces getting involved in this situation, or possibly going to see appearances of other monsters. We haven't confirmed what other monsters as of yet, though. So that's that. Moving on to other topics. The Batman director has been announced after it was recently announced that Ben Affleck would be stepping down from the Batman movie. Warner Brothers was actually really quick to bring on a new director. Matt Reeves, who you probably are familiar with from things like Cloverfield and then Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and then the upcoming War of the Planet of the Apes. So with the change, there was actually some brief speculation that they were going to completely redo the script that Ben Affleck actually helped co-write. That was quickly disbanded when producers came out and said, nope, we're actually moving forward with the script. We like it thus far. We're going to work with Matt Reeves to get the script done and taken care of. Yeah, unfortunately, Dan, I was a big fan of Cloverfield, but I have not seen either of the Planet of the Apes movies. So that's not going to surprise guys like Soup and DQ, because apparently I don't watch enough movies. But I should probably watch those. I don't have much of an opinion on Matt Reeves becoming the director just because I haven't seen much of his work. Soup, you're saying Affleck might not even play Batman now. I have not seen anything in that regard, so if you have an article on that, I would love to read it, because I've been following that fairly closely. But we'll see what happens. If he doesn't come back to play Batman, that's a huge loss. He's been out of the most two recent Batman, he's my favorite. I would probably say he's my favorite overall. So that would be a huge loss for DC. That's almost an entire new reboot type of thing. Anyways, like I was saying, unfortunately, I don't have a ton of opinion on Matt Reeves just because I don't have a lot of knowledge on what he's done in the past. Cloverfield was a great movie, but just the style of that movie was so different compared to most movies we see that I can't really take much from that and put it towards a Batman movie. So, one of my bigger topics and one of the ones I'm actually most interested in is actually what I'm going to get to, still keeping in the DC realm. Mel Gibson is actually being looked at by DC and Warner Brothers to do Suicide Squad 2, just Suicide 2. No, Suicide Squad 2. This surprised me for a couple reasons. One, that DC was actually in production for another Suicide Squad movie this quickly, although it still made tons of money. I think it made like 750 million or something like that worldwide. It was bad. I bought it. I desperately wanted to like it, and even the extended version makes it a touch better, but it's not a good movie. It's something that I have enjoyed, like, and I try to enjoy, but overall it's not a good movie. So, getting back to Mel Gibson though, that's super interesting to me. Putting aside the fact that, you know, a lot of people are still pissed off about something that he said, 10, 12 years ago. What I'll say is I've been a huge Mel Gibson fan for years, way back, Lethal Weapon days, growing up. Those were my go-to action movies. I love those movies. Still a big fan of him today. I think people need to collectively unbunch their underpants and just let it go. It's been a long time. He's apologized, and I think if we're all really honest with ourselves, we would say that, in private, we've probably each individually said or at least thought something probably worse. So let's move past it. He's a phenomenal director. I don't think anyone can deny his directing ability. Yes, do I wish that he wouldn't have said what he said, but yeah, let's move past it. There are plenty of people in Hollywood that have done way worse and not been chastised nearly as much as Mel Gibson. So, that being said, moving past that, it just surprises me first because it just doesn't really seem like a movie that he would be interested in doing. Now, this might be publicity for him, just because to get him back into a positive spotlight with fans. This would be a great way to do it. Get a whole bunch of people to come and watch it, and I think it's actually a really smart move. Now, just based on what I've seen online, this has been a mixed announcement at best. We've had a lot of people that are, just giving Mel hate, and pretty much that's it. And then a bunch of other people are like, no, he's a great director. Now, that being said, the last time we've had a great director do a DC movie, it was Christopher Nolan, and I'm pretty sure we can all agree that those movies were pretty fantastic. So the more I think about it, I'm actually really excited to see this potentially happen. I think that his direction and his different take on movies would actually really breathe well into the DC universe. So I think that would be really cool. Now, for my final main topic, I'm doing main topics and then I got a couple little side things that I'm going to talk about. Final main topic. Fox president David Madden has announced that they being Fox, are ready to revisit the universe of Firefly in Serenity. Now, I'm really surprised that this hasn't gotten more traction around the internet, because there are so many Serenity fanboys out there. I mean, they've been clamoring for 10, 12, 14 years to get this returned now, and it's never happened, and Fox is finally caving and going like, we'd be willing to do it. There's a catch, though. Joss Whedon has to be on board because, if he wasn't on board, no one would be interested. Now, that being said, Joss has recently stated after he did Ultron that he's looking to, do other things than just movies. He's kind of getting sick, and I'm paraphrasing here, of the big budget movies, and he wants to do something a little different. So, that is promising. Now, nothing is set in stone, and it would be difficult to bring back a lot of these characters. Now, they said he just said the universe, that could mean a lot of different things. It was speculated that this could be a sequel. So you have several characters that unfortunately passed away. They killed off maybe my favorite character in Wash in Serenity, which I will say, I felt like I needed to bring this up just because it's such a big topic, but at the same time, Firefly was not my favorite. I actually preferred Serenity. I mean, Firefly was good, don't get me wrong, but I didn't drool over it like a lot of the fanboys do. I preferred Serenity, but probably because I watched Serenity first, which may have been a mistake, but still good. So, killed off Wash, that was bad. Morena is on to other things. It's not a spoiler alert soup. That movie's like 10 years old. If a movie's more than 5 years old, I don't have to give out spoilers. Moving on. That's just a bit of a short rant of mine. Morena has moved on to Deadpool. Nathan Fillion's been doing a lot of things. Fortunately, though, he's not really doing much now, and either is Whedon, like I mentioned. So it could come together. There's definitely a few of those actors, actresses in there that haven't had much going for them, so I'm sure they'd be looking for something to do. So what do you guys think on that? Like I said, I wasn't the hugest Firefly fan, but I liked it enough. So moving on, finally, a couple things just to wrap up. I'm going to do quick shots. I'll basically just throw it out there, give a quick opinion on it, and move on. So the Avengers Infinity War is starting to film. A featurette was thrown out. I'll link that below in the YouTube video. It's just super cool to see all these characters in that universe. Not only basically every character that we've seen in the Avengers, but the Guardians of the Galaxy. It would actually probably be a lot quicker for me to name off actors and actresses that weren't appearing in the Infinity War movies. Off the top of my head, James Franco is not going to be in it, I don't think. But yeah, I'll link that below. It's just kind of cool to see them all together and start filming the Avengers mixing with Guardians of the Galaxy people. Thandie Newton is going to be in some sort of role for Han Solo movie. Haven't been announced anything yet, only that she's being pursued and most likely going to be cast similar to the Woody Harrelson situation. It's basically a done deal. I think they just need to announce it. She was awesome in Westworld. She's going to be awesome in this. Looking forward to that. I'm excited about that movie. The Han Solo movie maybe has the highest profile cast of any Star Wars movie we've ever seen. So looking forward to it. Excited about that. And finally, the last little bit of topic. Hash Brown. Excited. Kimmy Schmidt is returning for season 3 on Netflix May 19th. The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is one of like Netflix original sitcoms. It was probably like, I don't know if they did anything original before that in a sitcom sense, but this was their first big hit. I loved it. It's got this off-brand of throwaway humor, just kind of awkward gag humor mixed in with some really awesome, just quotable phrases and different things like that. So I'm really excited to see what happens in season 3 with Kimmy and Titus and the whole gang. Again, you can check out season 1 and 2 on Netflix, but season 3 is coming out May 19th. So I very much appreciate the people who stopped by and watched. Very much like that you guys showed up. Didn't get as much of a viewing today, but probably threw some people off because I didn't do it on my normal day. Anyways, I'm happy you showed up. So I am Zach. This was Cheap Shot News. You can check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Cheap Shot Cinema is the overall brand. You can check us out on our website, cheapshotcinema.com, and then YouTube, Cheap Shot Cinema. Like and subscribe if you like what you're seeing, if you're following me on the YouTubes. Thanks, guys, very much, and you have a great evening. Bye.